Getting a job today seems like it's a lot harder than ever before. It seems like employers want you to have 10 years of job experience by the time you turn 16, whereas back in the day you could basically just show up to a job and start working. You would think that with all the tools job seekers have today, like ZipRecruiter, Indeed, or Glassdoor, landing a job would be so much easier. But in reality, job seekers spend more time looking for work today than people did in 2008 during the Great Recession. To explain why, let me give you an example. Let's say you're digging through job boards and you find a great job that's nearby and that you're qualified for. That cool job probably has, on average, around 175 other applicants. Employers do not have time to sit and read the resumes of 175 different applicants. Half of those are likely just going to be spam. So a lot of times they will just flip through the resumes quickly, and it's a game of luck whether or not your resume stood out to them. If your resume is boring or formatted poorly, you won't even be looked at. Some companies have AI do the sifting instead of a person. This could be good as resume AIs will search through job experience and try to create a brief profile summarizing your level of qualification, and it will throw out any spam. However, these AI are not perfect, and your resume could be flagged as spam or misread, creating a profile that says you're not qualified when in reality you are. The hardest part of the job searching process is just having your resume seen, and after it's finally been seen, it may not help. As hard as it may be to hear, you're likely not as unique as you think you are, especially not on paper. If you're under 40 and you don't have a 2 to 4 year degree, good luck finding anything that is not minimum wage, customer service, or manual labor. Around 95% of adults under 40 have completed high school, so you're not special. A lot of office jobs nowadays require a bachelor's degree and or 10 years of experience, even for entry-level positions. Looking through job boards, I found a few secretary and reception jobs, which as far as office culture is concerned is the bottom of the office class system, and they all required a bachelor's degree and a few years of experience. Receptionists and secretaries are usually an entry-level position, so what do you need a bachelor's degree for? In reality, you don't. Not to do the work. Most office jobs are just data input and processing that is just a little too complicated for an AI to do. They're mind-numbing jobs that don't require a bachelor's degree, but you probably would not get hired without one. See, in the 1950s, only around 5% of people had bachelor's degrees. Nowadays, that number has skyrocketed to over 40%, meaning that there's a saturation of job seekers with bachelor's degrees, making the degree practically worthless and a minimum requirement if you want a job. If you want to leg up, you're going to need a master's degree, but for a lot of people who are probably drowning in student loan debt, this is not an option. So if you're applying to jobs on job boards, most of your competition is just as qualified, if not more qualified for the job than you. That's why out of hundreds of applicants, most companies will choose less than 5 people to actually interview. Getting an interview is like winning the lottery. If you do finally land an interview, it's less of an interview and more of an audition. If you feel the first impression for something as dumb as, say, the interviewer did not like your tie, you're not going to get the job regardless of whether or not you're the most qualified. Remember, employers have hundreds of options, just like you. So if they don't like your smile, your clothes, or how you talk, crossing you off the list is not really a loss to them. What frustrates me the most about this is that it's a new problem, one that has only existed for the last 15 years or so. So older generations really just don't understand what the problem is, or why people don't just get a job. I remember when I turned 16, I wanted to get a job. Looking back, I should have just enjoyed my years as a kid playing video games with no debts or any responsibilities. However, like most teenagers, I wanted to be an adult. Which, now that I am an adult, I realize that was a mistake. My dad gave me the advice that if I wanted a job, I needed to call the company I wanted to work for until they scheduled an interview. So I called the companies I wanted to work for, and they all asked me the same question. If I had applied online, I had not. So they said not to call back and that they would reach out to me after I applied online. So I applied and heard nothing back. My dad said that I just gotta keep calling, so I did. But I called so many times that they told me to stop calling and that if they wanted to interview me, they would reach out. My dad said that I just needed to go down there and talk to a manager, so I did. And when I got there, they asked me the same question, if I had applied online. I said yes, and they told me that I just needed to wait to hear back. I tried to fight them on this, saying that I had heard nothing in weeks despite calling, and the manager told me that he did not have time for this, and that I needed to leave the store and just wait until they called me. Needless to say, I never heard back from any of the companies I applied for. When my dad was my age, the call and show up method would have worked, and it would have worked for his father before him. So it's hard for them to understand why I have had such a problem, despite using a tried and true method. Even people who work in technical fields and for job boards, if they're older, don't get it. When researching for this video, I found an article that said the reason millennials cannot get jobs is because they, quote, don't try hard enough. In actuality, the data says otherwise. People try harder and longer than ever nowadays to get hired, but unless you've been recently unemployed or you're fresh out of college looking for work, you probably do not know this. So what can you do to actually land a job? Well, the answer sucks, and it's make connections. I'm serious. Job boards contain only around 20% of all jobs, and the other 80% of jobs are not listed anywhere. It's called the hidden job market. And the only way to land one of these hidden jobs is to know people and have special connections. Yes, it's unfair. Yes, it's non-meritocratic. Yes, it's nepotistic. And yes, it sucks, but it's the way our world works. You need to be well connected and well qualified in order to land jobs. Otherwise, you're just a piece of paper in a sea of resumes. As an introvert, the prospect of going to networking events and meeting with people sounds exhausting. But tirelessly looking for work only to come up empty-handed is more exhausting. If you need help, you need to talk to people. Contact an old boss you liked, or if you went to college, contact a professor. Ask them if they know anyone who might be hiring in your field, or if they know anyone you can get in contact with. Just calling a CEO of a major company might not get you anywhere, but calling the same CEO and saying, hey, I'm one of John Smith's students. He said to give you a call about a job. That will most likely get you at least an interview. Get in touch with people, make connections, and they'll do the heavy lifting. And then you could probably finally land that job. Well, that's it for this video. Thanks so much for watching. And you know the drill, like, subscribe, hit that bell for notifications, or don't. I'll get more subscribers when I deserve it. You should also let me know down in the comments below what you think I should do my next video on. Then once you've done that, you should check out the sponsor of this video, National Realty Group. National Realty Group is a real estate company with offices located in Southern California. They're a one-stop solution office, meaning the real estate, mortgage, and escrow departments are located all in the same office. That means you can go through the whole process of buying or selling a house without the hassle of being bounced around to different companies. This makes the whole process a lot easier and a whole lot more enjoyable. Give them a call at 951-684-2600, or if you're like me and you don't like talking to people, visit their website